yourself comfy. You will have to poke, but yeah. Maybe. Hello, this is Overlord Nigel, and we're doing another deck check today with HPK Adam, and we are doing his Nova Grappler Beatdown deck. So, Adam, tell me about why you picked those cards to be your triggers.
My triggers, right, to start off with, we've got Battle Riser and Turbo Riser. Both from the Riser lines, which aren't actually out in English yet, which is a little bit annoying. But basically, these guys are have the ability when they're starting Vanguard, that is, when they're ridden, they get moved to the back row. Most simple, quite a lot of cards have that. They also have the second ability of when they boost a card, they give the card they boost 3,000 attack, and at the end of the turn, they go back into the deck. Denote at the end of the turn. And Nova Grapplers predominantly stand heavy, which is why there's also some Lucky Girls. Mostly the Lucky Girls are there because I haven't got enough Turbo Risers and Battle Risers to have that number. Been thinking about putting a couple of draws in, but draws only have 5,000 shield, and an Nova Grappler deck don't have any ability whatsoever either. So it's a case of losing 5,000 shield and 2 stands to have 2 draws, basically. Heals, 4 heals as standard. Again, they're 10,000 shield. Far as I remember, the only heals Nova Grapplers got. I could be wrong on that one. But anyway, standard as usual for any deck, 4 heals. And then we also got Red Lightning, 10,000 block, critical, and also has the ability of being able to put it into the soul to turn face down cards in the damage zone back face up, which is quite handy in this deck, as I'll point out later on.
Okay, now explain your level 1s for us.
Level 1s, right, first off we've got Tough Boy. Tough Boy is basically a beatdown stick. It is an 8,000 attack level 1 card. It is there to boost something to beat it down, which is what this deck predominantly does. Then you got next to it Twin Blader. That is your perfect guard. I've only got one, unfortunately, so that's why there's only one in this deck. Otherwise I would probably pack some more. Next up you have Claydol Mechanic. Claydol Mechanic has the ability of, when it is put into a rearguard circle, turning 1 card in the damage zone face up. Again, I'll explain why that's important later on. Then you have Almighty Reporter over here. When an attack on the Vanguard goes through and that card boosted the card that attacked the Vanguard, if it's all successful, that card gets returned back to your hand. Very handy to keep your hand size up for defending on the next turn. Next to it is Cray Soldier. Cray Soldier is mostly in this deck because I haven't got enough Twin Bladers, as well as Queen of Hearts. There's also going to support them with a few more Mighty Reporters, which I don't have much of either at the moment. But Cray Soldier's ability is if it boosts a card and that card hits, Cray Soldier gets to restand. And Queen of Heart is meant to give an additional boost to King of Swords, which isn't in this deck because my grade 2s are just about what I wanted them as.
Okay, as you mentioned grade 2s, please explain about them.
Grade 2s, nice and simple really. You've got Hungry Dumpty. His ability, that one, just to point out properly, his ability is the same as Claydol Mechanics. When you put him into the rearguard circle, you turn 1 card face up in the damage zone. You also got NGM Prototype. He's the standard interceptor. When he intercepts, he gains 5,000 shield, so he's a 10,000 shield when he intercepts from the field. Now, the reason why you want to keep turning up damage face up so often is Brutal Jack. A Brutal Jack has 3 abilities. Number 1 is Restraint, which means he can't attack. Then you got number 2. You counterblast 1 card, so turn 1 card over from the damage zone, to unrestrain Brutal Jack, which is why you want to keep turning cards back up again, so you can keep reusing Brutal Jack. He also has a third ability, When he is the Vanguard, if he's boosted by an Grappler deck, he gains an extra 5,000 attack. Bear in mind he's already at 11,000. Then he's boosted, then he gains 5,000 for being boosted. If you can't get to a grade 3, he makes a brilliant beatdown. He probably does more damage. He actually very often does more damage as a Vanguard by himself than the grade 3s do. He's also very handy in the rearguard circles because there's only one other card in this deck that actually can do that much damage by itself.
Okay, and last but not least, why did you pick these grade 3s?
These grade 3s. Right, the main card and grade 3 card in this deck is Mr. Invincible. He has 2 abilities again. One is that you soul charge 1 at the beginning of every turn to turn 1 card in your damage zone face up. The combination between Mr. Invincible and Brutal Jack is the best way of keeping Brutal Jack fueled up to attack constantly, turn after turn after turn. Then his second ability is when there is 5, you can counterblast 5 and soul blast 8 to restand every single unit on the field when Mr. Invincible's attack goes through on someone. Incredibly powerful, and it's the main reason that Novas are known for standing. And the other 3 are mostly to fill out my grade 3s. There's 2 Ashura Kaisers here. Basically has the ability of it loses 2,000 if there isn't another Nova Grappler deck card on the field. Being this deck is entirely Nova Grap, not really an issue. And the second ability is that when a grade 3 card is shown during its twin drive check, you get to stand 1 card. Again, another reason why this deck is known for standing. And last but not least is a Muscle Hercules. It's the same as Hungry Dumpty and Claydol Mechanic. When he is played, you get to turn 1 card in your damage zone face up.
Now before I ask you about the playstyle, one question I will ask is, you've got your 4 interceptors, but wouldn't it be better to have less interceptors and more cards with effects?
To be honest, this deck doesn't really need that much in a way in effects. Because normally you have MGM Prototype one side, Brutal Jack the other side, with Mr. Invincible in the middle. At which point, MGM Prototype goes and intercepts, opens the field up for the next MGM Prototype to go in to protect, whilst Brutal Jack and Mr. Invincible are beating the hell out of somebody.
Fair, sir. Right. Now, can you explain basically the strategies around this deck?
The main strategies are based around Mr. Invincible's Brutal Jack, as I mentioned earlier. You want to get to Mr. Invincible as quickly as possible with a Brutal Jack out as one of your rear guards. Mr. Invincible will keep flipping up the damage card zone card that you use to unrestrain Brutal Jack. And at which point you try and get a tough boy behind each one of them, if possible, and beat down your opponent. You just try and score as much damage as quickly as possible. That's the main strategy of this deck. There's other little side strategies in this deck, not particularly many. There's the Almighty Reporter one. You try and get him behind a Brutal Jack quite often, just so he then bounces back to your hand ready for defending if needs be. The other real main strategies is when Brutal Jack's out in the field, try and use as many Hungry Dumpties and Claydol Mechanics at that point as possible. And also to abuse Battle Risers and Turbo Risers' ability as much as possible. Because when you use their ability, not only you gain 3,000 boost to the card in front, they then go back into your deck. Which means, as your deck thins out and they keep going back in, you're more likely to gain the 5,000 boost and a stand. Which is very, very helpful. Having an extra boost on your Vanguard to get an attack through, and then standing on your rear guards again to attack afterwards after you've already pummeled their hand. Very handy, and this is the main strategy of this deck is to beat people down.
Alright, well, thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any ideas that may help HBK Adam, please put the comment in the bottom there, and I'll make sure he gets the message. Hope you enjoyed this. Remember the little like button. You know, more likes the better. And hope to see you soon. Goodbye.